Hello, welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. Well, not really welcome back, more welcome to Kerbal Space Program. Anyway, what I'm doing here is I'm kind of building up a rocket to test out one of the mod packs I'll be using with KSP. The mod pack is the jump drive. Now, how this works is you have a beacon setting in space to work as well as you expect a beacon. Now, the idea behind it is when a ship has a jump drive, it charges up, locks onto the beacon, and jumps to its destination. Kind of like how Battlestar Galactica's ships jump. You know, if you've ever seen Battlestar Galactica, you'd know what I'm talking about. If not, I'll put something in the video to kind of describe what I'm talking about. But it's different from FTL travel. It's rather than accelerating up to a speed to get somewhere, it's essentially an instant jump, folding space and time and all kinds of crazy stuff, and it's cool and amazing and yada yada yada. So anyway, what I'm planning to do with this series is build up beacons all over the Kerbal system to have instant travel around the entire sector, or Kerbal system really. So what I'm doing here is I'm building up tests to make sure the mods work. Originally I wasn't going to show this because it was pretty boring, and it took about an hour and a half to test it and make sure it works, and a lot of bad things happened, and yeah, it was just... You'll see in the video anyway as we go on. But anyway, the mods I'm using in this pack are Jump Drive, obviously, Mech Jeb, Science Alerts, Sounding Rockets, and Stage Recovery. This video was done in sandbox mode, like I said, to test it, make sure it works, but when I get to the actual video, I'll be doing it in career mode and doing it properly and essentially doing it as if KSP was meant to be played in a career-based section. So I'm not going to go straight into it and just build rockets out of nothing. I will have fun aspect on it and difficulty, and rather than just going straight to it. So yes, now that rocket's done, this is how much delta V it has in it. It's a pretty blurry, but that's fine. You can see it all there. It's a pretty standard rocket to get to space. Well, sort of gets to space. So, like I said, it is just testing phase, this one here. So, as we fire up the engine and head into space, it's pretty slow. It's pretty slow. I am using Mech Jeb in this because, like I said, I am just testing. I don't really care about efficiency with this. I just want to get them into space, make sure it works, and just really, you know, make sure it works. Ah, jeez, where am I going with this? I really do not know. Now, the jump drive systems require a lot of power, unbelievable amounts of power. So I put in a bunch of thermal generators in, well, you know, kind of hidden away in there, but it later turns out that is nowhere near enough power than what I actually need. I need a complete shitload more, like an unbelievable amount of power. It takes about 9,000 units of power to jump from Kerbal orbit to the moon, or the mun, whatever you want to call it. So, yeah, power generation is going to be difficult in career mode with funds and science and all kinds of jazz to it. So, my plan for it is to get a probe sent to each section, each area, and have that built as the beacon, and then have one ship that jumps around. So one ship that has huge amounts of power generation, and then docking ports so it can transfer things to and from certain locations. Now, I don't know if there's a certain limit on how much power is required depending on how far the jump is. All you're seeing here is me just launching a ship because the first one failed, and I just, decided to just redo it completely. But yeah, it's about 9,000 units to jump from the Kerbal system to the moon. So I don't know if it will require maybe, 20,000 to jump from Kerbin to Minmus. It's all just a testing phase, but all this video is just showing that it works, and I know it works because I tested it and yada yada yada. But I'm putting this now in the moon orbit to work as the test beacon. It has a few solar panels and power generation, but look how much power it sucked up just from turning on the beacon. It wrecked my power ridiculously. Now it's in a stable orbit, got jump drive at max, so it's all ready to receive the jump request, I suppose you'd call it. I'm using the same rocket as the jump as well, so we're putting that into standard Kerbal orbit. You don't need to set the target as a destination or you have to point to it because you're jumping to it, you're not accelerating to it, so I just did it just in case. I didn't really know how the mod worked. Now, it does give a disclaimer that you do have to be at least 200 meters from the nearest ship, otherwise it will essentially destroy you and your ship, and that's not fun for anybody. So I'm reaching 200 meters away from it. There we go. Alright, let's fire up the jump drive. So we're already at the point, we're already at the target. Let's give it a shot. So hopefully power generation is enough to fire it up. I'm a bit skeptical seeing how much it used to charge the beacon. But, yes. Here we go. Firing it up, searching the jump point, and my power's gone. It is gone. Apparently it sucks down about 5,000 units of power a second. So the generation of power is a lot. You can turn the beacon on its own and have... Oh, God. That's not funny. You can have the beacon charge up without constant power generation, but you do still require constant power generation for the jump drive itself. So you could just have one thermal generator, and that should be enough to get the beacon up and running. It will take a long time, but it will charge the beacon completely. So I went back to the drawing board and decided to build something else. And at this point, I was about an hour into testing, and I was pretty sick of putting everything into stable orbits, using all the kind of fuel consumptions and yada yada yada. So I decided, screw it, let's just turn sheets on, get it into orbit, make sure it works, and then go from there. So put sheets on, saved it, launched it, and here we go. So I activated the solar panels, tried turning it on the launch pad. Power generation just still wasn't enough. Even with all those thermal generators, it just was nowhere near enough to get it to where it needed to be. So I added a shitload of batteries. An absolute shitload. And some struts for good measure, because, you know, struts are good. It's about 32,000 units of power total. So there's a lot. A freaking lot. So extend the solar panels, speed it up a little bit, and we're going to try and test the jump again. So how will this work? Oh, so it's charging. So we're using quite a lot of power. A lot. About 9,000 units. Now the problem is, the disclaimer again says that I had to be in a stable orbit because it'll just break. So what's actually happened here is I've teleported all of the pretty much Kerbal Space Center into orbit of the moon, what do you want to call it? So it worked. Yes, it did. The jump drive worked, but I also teleported the entire planet there as well. So we'll just put this thing into space and see how it goes when we're in a stable orbit. Now, it's going to cost a lot to get something into space like this and then send up docking maneuvers and whatnot. So I'm hoping that this one single shuttle that I do design in the main career mode is going to be enough, because I don't want to keep adding stuff onto it once it's launched. I want to launch the shuttle as a once-off. It will do everything, and then we attach things to it. So here we go, charging the jump drive up now in stable orbit, and away we go. There we go. Fan-freaking-tastic. So that worked perfectly. We're now in a stable Mun orbit following the first test we sent up. Now, I don't understand why, but when the jump completes, it uses all of your electric charge. I don't know why, and also sucked off my my solar panels. Maybe just the jump field didn't suck in the panels or something, I don't know. But yes, that is essentially the jump drive mod. It's expensive, it's going to take some time to get it into space and really make sure it works and get the beacon set up. So expect this series to be pretty long. I'm going to try and cut out as much tedious crap as possible. But to get a jump beacon to every point in the Kerbal system will take a long time. But that's fine. We will get there in the end, we'll have beacons, we can jump around, and we can have a glorious time as well. Now, one interesting thing I did find with the jump beacon, well, the jump drive rather, is you can use it as kind of an escape mechanism if you're on a decaying or failing orbit, or if things just aren't working. So it kind of works as a second quick save or quick load. Now, what I'm doing here is this is about an hour and 40 minutes into recording this test, and I was pretty fed up with things not working and everything that's breaking, so I thought, screw it, I'm going to send this ship straight into the moon and destroy it and just watch it explode, even turning off cheats to make sure it really is destroyed, because screw it. But I thought, halfway down, what if we use this as a escape mechanism if this was happening? So I decided to fire up the jump drive and just see how it would react. If I'm accelerating down to the planet, I'm, in its SOI, I'm going to get captured by it, I'm moments from destruction. Let's just see what happens. It's interesting. So, fire it up, select the location, jump drive charges, I get really low to the planet, really, really low, about 5k's down, bang, I'm back into a stable 300k orbit, just like that. It's going to be good if let's say I want to land on a planet and it's not going to plan. If I have the power generation to fire up the jump drive, I can pretty much put myself back a step without any consequences. Obviously, solar panels and shit will obviously take risk, but the idea is there that if something is failing, I can use the jump drive to get out of there quick smart. But like I said, it will be expensive to do that. Really, really expensive. But yes, that is the mod itself, and there goes the beacon, because I'm sick of it. Oh, jeez. Anyway, that will be it for this kind of introductory video. As I said, I'll be doing the main video in career mode, so we do it all properly. I've got a few things to help me out in getting science early, so that should help me out. But yes, until next time, I will see you all later.